Mr. Gimenez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I just snuck in, sorry. Mr. Ballard, I watched the movie and that portrays part of your life, and it was a very powerful movie. And I'd like to get your opinion. What policies that are in place now are, if they are, helping the cartels, helping the human traffickers to traffic minors and other people in the United States?
Well, we know that what drives criminal networks who are making approximately $14 million a day, what drives them are the very lack of enforcing our policies, the lack of policies, the lack of enforcement of the policies that are in place. Because if you can get a person in and a child in that easily, that's what drives a criminal network. And so we have good laws on the books. We're just not enforcing them. There's another issue that we should be very concerned about. There's something called the Flores settlement, which is well intended. It's a court hearing ruling that compels a child to be released within 72 hours into the United States, even if that child's with their parent. Well, the traffickers are always smarter than we give them credit for, and they've been taking advantage of that. What they do is they'll take these children who are unaccompanied, and they will pair them, and they will instruct them to call this woman and this man, the clients of the smuggler, mom and dad. And Border Patrol was noticing the same kids keep coming through as the kid of the family. And so that's a part of this conversation too, of this family separation. If there are real families being separated, that's devastating, that shouldn't happen. But let's vet it. Again, it's a lack of vetting, it's a lack of investigating. Is that kid really with that parent? Or is that kid being abused? Is that kid being used as a pawn in the game, in the trafficking criminal networks, efforts? So all those things, it has to do with taking children, in my opinion, making them the priority, investigating everything about them and who's coming to get them. That's what's lacking.
It's interesting because when my last term, I went down to the border and to check out what was going on, and actually ran into about 6 migrants crossing the border, a father, 2 fathers, a couple teenagers, and it turns out that one of the fathers wasn't really the father. Later on, they found out they did some DNA testing and all that. So I'm wondering if that DNA testing is still going on to find out if these supposedly parents are real parents, and that we really have a big issue here. What would you do differently in order to stem the flow, of human trafficking that we have right now? Because you're quite right. I mean, the cartels are actually making more money on human trafficking than they are with drugs, which is really, when you think about it, that's a heck of a thing to say.
Yeah.
They're making billions of dollars on human trafficking. What would you do differently?
Well, for one, I would return the rapid DNA technology that was once in place, and the current administration took it away several months ago. I don't know why they did that. I've used this technology. It's like within 20 minutes you can get a positive or negative ID and confirm. So
the administration actually took that away?
Yes.
They did?
Yes.
And so we have an administration, and we have and that's saying that it's inhumane to separate families from each other, and yet they don't even know if the people being brought over are being brought by their family.
Right. Worse than that, anyone can show up and claim.
I wonder what the ACLU has to say about that. That's a rhetorical question. Thank you. Go ahead.
Investigate that.
Yeah. Okay. Now, see, and I get upset, when I see injustice, when I see, what the human toll that's happening at our border in the name of politics, in the name of an open border, the human suffering that continues to happen in the United States. 85,000 children, at least, that are unaccounted for. Is that a tragedy, sir?
If the 85,000 are really
missing and being exploited, absolutely. But we don't believe that the mere fact that the calls were not answered. And I just want to, if I could just make one point, we are all for when people show up and there's some reason to believe that it's not the parent or legal guardian, for some kind of vetting. And there's lots of ways to do it. It's easy. DNA was mentioned, calling the consulate, checking documents. But what we don't want to see, and what we have happened, or what we have seen repeatedly, is just someone says, well, we don't want trafficking, so we're going to take this family away, and then they actually are the parent, and the judge says, well, why don't you do a DNA test? And it becomes clear it is the parent. So I think there needs to be balance on both sides.
Thank you. My time is up. I wish I had heck of a lot more time because I could have a lot more questions. Thank you, and I yield back.